Hello, everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are back in Massachusetts. And we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Azur Lane Commander, Azur Lane, Massachusetts. This is also the Azur Lane, Massachusetts skin. It is not a new ship. This is just regular old Massachusetts. So they give you a little fancy camo on it. I actually don't mind this. It's not the most obnoxious thing in the world. So it's not a bad looking skin as far as skins go. Kind of reminds me of Rocket League with the animated skins and whatnot. But anyway, let's look at the commander. So we're running Azur Lane, Massachusetts, and I am running a full secondary meme build, right? Like we went full meme build for this one. I don't recommend going full meme build on this for a few reasons. We'll go over it in a minute, but I went full meme build just for you guys. But we got Haruna and Hipper as our inspirations. Her base trait, Big Mammy. We got secondary battery shells that travel over 5 kilometers, deal extra damage, up to 10% more damage, which is hilarious considering these are only 127 millimeter guns, so they don't really pin much of anything at all. Unless, of course, it's a destroyer, in which case it can be hilarious. But we do have a good day's work on. You could run Brawler if you want, but losing that extra range is miserable. So I figure reducing the damage control party cooldown is pretty nice. You could reduce the fire if you wanted here too. Either way. But then we went with Porcupine, obviously. You could go with extra secondary fire, but I feel like that's just dumb. The fire chance is so low already on these that an extra 2% isn't going to make that big of a difference. So just getting more range, more grouping, and dispersion out of your secondaries is definitely the way to go. And then properly meticulous, obviously. Now, the interesting thing, you do actually have a chance to run marksmanship on this build, which is probably what I would normally run, just due to the fact you get a better dispersion, which Massachusetts is decently accurate anyway. But getting extra dispersion, I mean, again, this isn't a bad idea to run properly meticulous. And the fact that it's in the 3rd slot instead of the 4th slot makes a big difference because you could potentially run Master Mechanic, and I would probably recommend running Master Mechanic if you're going to be running a secondary build because it gives you more survivability and allows you to be more useful for longer. But because it is her fancy trait, I decided to run the 2,700 pounds of justice. Sounds like something I would say, right? Talking about the armor-piercing shell, of course, the super heavy armor-piercing shell. 2,700 pounds of freedom seeds coming your way. But secondary battery reload time minus 12% with this build. We are fully maxed out. Thanks to Wargaming for giving us the commanders fully kitted out so that we can actually show them off at their full potential. And battleship main battery damage while enhanced secondary targeting is active. Is the other thing. So while our secondary booster's running, we actually get 12% more damage, which is actually kind of cracked. But, again, Master Mechanic is just better if you want to survive longer. And then, of course, for the memes, we went with secondary interest as well, so we get extra secondary targeting charges as well as a reduced cooldown for it. Definitely would recommend Fight Fire with Fire for a Brawler or for a secondary build here instead of this, but again, we went full meme build just for you guys so that you guys don't have to suffer through it. And then, of course, we are running the secondary battery mod 2 in the 1st slot. We are running steering gears mod 2. We're running the concealment system module. And we are running the secondary battery mod 3, the legendary version. So for every kill we get a little bit more damage. But we also have the secondary battery reload time for every 30,000 damage we do gets reduced by an extra 5%. So pretty nice there. But again, I wouldn't necessarily go over this instead of the artillery plotting room, just because having more accuracy, getting your main guns involved more often is definitely the play. And then using your secondaries as additional damage as you progress through a normal match, right? Like that's the way it's meant to be played, rather than just relying on these secondaries to do all the damage, because this is not Atlantico. These are 5-inch secondaries. They rely on fires most of the time to do any sort of damage, and they don't set a lot of fires. Unless you run something like a Justinian Lions or something like that, whereas you're healing, you get a ridiculous fire chance, in which case it can be kind of funny. But when a destroyer decides to get too close at tier 7, these secondaries can absolutely shred destroyers if they mess around, especially if you've got the EST running. So with all of that being said, we of course are running enhanced secondary targeting booster. Why wouldn't you? It's Massachusetts. And then, of course, like I said, the Azur, Massachusetts skin. And we have the Italian Unity flag, which is the old one. We want to go to the Hector flag because it looks more like a Spartan. I did run the Epic Battle Booster to try to get a little bit more main battery range because with this build, if you don't run it, you're getting about 17 kilometers of range. 17 and a half kilometers is a little bit more, which is a little bit nicer because trying to close the distance at these higher tiers with secondaries is just brutal, especially with the Americans. Like, they don't do enough damage quick enough with the secondaries to make it really worth going full secondary build. Now, don't get me wrong, it's great up close and personal having those secondaries, but I wouldn't spec fully into secondaries normally. And yeah, anyway. Survivability with this build, 66,300, which is pretty low for a Tier 7 battleship. Torpedo damage reduction, fantastic for a Tier 7, 46%, just like Alabama. Fire resistance, 37%. Main battery guns, you get the 406mm Mark 6 45 caliber guns. You get 9 of those, reaching out 17.5 kilometers with this build. Reload time, 30 seconds. Main battery turret traverse is terrible at 45 seconds. Shell grouping is 1.8, which isn't bad, but it's not amazing. Which is why I say, like, if you want to build into like a hybrid setup with the secondaries where you get like maybe 9 to 10 kilometers of secondary range and then you have a lot better main guns, that's probably going to be your better bet instead of going full secondary build, right? But anyway, HE shell maximum damage 5,700 with a 36% chance to set fires, and they pin 68 mils. AP shell maximum damage 13,100 with a 45-60 standard pin angles, and yeah, that's about it. The secondaries, though, this is the main bread and butter of this build. 127mm Mark 32s, you get 20 of those, 10 on each side of the ship. It is in 5 dual turrets, and this is the problem with this sort of build at these, and especially nowadays. Like, back in the day, you used to be able to run this no problem, but with all the HE spam and torpedo, or not necessarily the torpedoes, but like all of the HE spam and then all the like Dutch cruisers dropping HE bombs and stuff, it's not good. The reason being is you lose your secondaries very quickly, which can vastly reduce your effectiveness, right, as a secondary build, because every single secondary turret that you lose is 2 guns, and you only get 10 of them per side. So it is a noticeable drop very quickly every single time you get hit with HE, and you will get hit with HE. But anyway, they reload in 3.5 seconds with this build, which is fantastic. Don't get that twisted. That is fantastic for these guns. And they fire HE with a maximum damage 1,800. You'll never see 1,800 damage on these ever. Fire chance is 5%. And that's what I'm saying. Like, these don't set fires at all. It's kind of stupid that 100mm destroyer guns set more fires than these things. I don't understand it, but that's just the way it goes. But here's the problem. 21mm of armor penetration. They can pin destroyers, but that's about it. Most everything else is just going to be relying on fires, right? A defense, as you'd expect, is pretty solid. 127mm Mark 32 dual-purpose secondaries. You get 20 of those, doing 131 damage per second, reaching out 5 kilometers. The 40mm Bofors Mark II, you get 60 of those, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers, doing 294 damage per second. 20mm Orlik and Mark 20s, you get 10 of those, doing 28 damage per second, but only out to 2 kilometers. 20mm Orlik and Mark 4s, you get 25 of those, doing 139 damage per second, but only out to 2 kilometers. Maneuverability, maximum speed with this build is actually 28.3 knots. That is a little bit higher just because we are running the Epic Battle Booster. You take that away and it goes back down to the normal, I think it's 27 or 28 knots. Rudder shift time, though, pretty good on these, as you'd expect. For the Sodaks, they're pretty good at maneuvering. I like them. Concealment, 13.3 kilometers detectability by sea, 11.1 by air. 2 is always guaranteed, 14.9 smoke firing penalty. 65% win rate on this ship. You guys know I love the Massachusetts, always have. It's fantastic. This build is a meme build. I wouldn't necessarily go for it. The commander is fine, but I think that you would do yourself a favor if you did more of a hybrid build with this commander than just going full secondary meme build like I did. But armor, as you'd expect, 32 mils everywhere, basically. There's nothing fancy about the armor here. And then, of course, it's got the American Citadel, which is right at the waterline. So you're pretty safe most of the time, unless you're turning towards an enemy or something overmatches your bow, right? They can potentially Citadel you because you got a short snoot. Anyway, agile, above average ability to change direction. We already talked about that. The Sodaks are pretty maneuverable. Secondary reach, above average secondary battery range. Again, we already talked about that. Sluggish shot. If you're used to Americans, this is not a problem. It's just what they describe American, like, slow shells at long distance. But if you play a lot of American ships, you won't have any issues aiming. Massachusetts, a South Dakota class battleship designed subject to treaty limitations. The ship had well-balanced characteristics in terms of armament, speed, and armor protection. By the end of World War II, the ship had a very powerful AA defense. She entered service in 1942. There were 4 of them in the series. I know Alabama and Massachusetts, obviously, and I can never remember the other 2. Y'all are going to yell at me. I always forget the other 2. Always. But anyway, with all of that being said, I've got a fun match for you guys so that you guys can laugh with me. But yeah, it's gonna be one of those matches. So let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're gonna be on Riposte, and we are in the absolute peak of Massachusetts. But yeah, again, I don't recommend going full secondary build on Massachusetts. You can, but I think you're gonna be selling yourself short a little bit. I also don't recommend not having fight fire with fire, because I guarantee you, no matter what, they will get the 3rd fire. They'll probably even get the 4th fire. That's just the way it works. If you have fight fire with fire, they'll never get the 3rd fire. If you don't have fight fire with fire, they will quad fire you every time. That's just the way it goes. I swear to God. At least that's been my luck in times where I don't have freaking fight fire with fire, like my Hoshino build ships. Every time. Every time. But no, right off the bat, you're going to notice that I look forward. I see that we have USS Black here. It's a 3-bar USS Black, so I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. This guy's going to be fantastic. And he's AFK. Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? All of the stereotypes, guys. Every one of them. Right? Then I look over to my right, and I notice that we have like a 25k health German destroyer. And I'm thinking, okay, fine. Not bad. This could be okay. We've got 2 gunboats. We should have the advantage. Easy peasy, right? So right off the bat, I'm going to try to move up to a centralized position to try to take as close of a position to the enemy as possible, but not leave myself in a position where I can be easily countered, right? That's my goal here. Now you'll notice that there's somebody coming over from my right, so I got to be careful here. But Z35 or Z31 here, you can see he's 25k health, right? How many hit points do you think he's going to lose the moment he gets into a fight with 1 destroyer? Place your bets. But anyway, I'm going to try to look for a good crossfire position. You can see over here on the left, we've got the Constellation go behind the island. Unfortunately, he's going to go dark before we get a chance to shoot at him. You can see we do have some HE coming in from that side of the map as well. Alabama's pushed in, but he's not going to go full stupid mode. So we take a shot at him just to keep him honest. You can see our teammate is kind of getting bullied a little bit here, but it's not taking too much damage. It just looks real bad. And then we notice it's a Suja. Now this is terrifying if you're a secondary build battleship, specifically an American secondary build battleship, because our secondaries are so incredibly easy to knock out. Like, they are easily one of the worst secondary turrets in terms of survivability. The moment you start getting hit with HE, they're gone. You just kiss the destroyer, or kiss the turrets goodbye when it comes to secondaries. But I mean, Constellation makes huge mistake here, and he gets real lucky to not just be sent straight home. Like that could have been real bad for him. He got moving in reverse just in time to not get yeeted. But you'll see that our destroyer is pushing into the middle. Now, I tried to warn the destroyer that there's an Atlantico in Catalunya that spawned middle, right? They're in a double div. So if he does go into the middle, he's kind of putting himself in a position where he could potentially be bullied by the destroyer as well as a double division, and that would not go well, right? But we take a shot that we weren't 100% sure we were going to hit, but you miss all the shots you don't take, and we did actually manage to get one overpin, so it wasn't completely worthless. But you'll notice Aventure, whatever, the adventurer comes around the corner and is fighting our destroyer. Now again, our destroyer has 25k health and should be able to gun down a destroyer. Especially if said destroyer has help. But you'll notice that I'm not just sitting here around waiting for him. I'm trying to get this thing in reverse, but I'm trying to hit the island so that I can reverse faster, so that I can come around the corner and help get rid of this destroyer. And you'll see that I mark him with my secondaries, and then I go ahead and I hit the freaking enhanced secondary booster, so that every shell is as accurate as possible out of my secondaries. And watch the secondaries do damage to this French destroyer. Like, these are no joke against destroyers. They always have been. They are nasty. But unfortunately, Z31 takes our kill there, but it's fine. Surely he'll live and not get himself killed in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. You can't make it up, folks. You can't. Now, if you're paying attention to the minimap, right now you'll notice that at approximately my 2 o'clock, there is a North Carolina spotted on the minimap. And I am going to try to set myself up in position to yeet said North Carolina, because he is sailing flat fucking broadside into North Carolina to our entire team. And apparently, nobody can really damage him. So I'm going to showcase that a full secondary Massachusetts is what we call accurate enough. Pow! Yeet! Down he goes. How many times I said yeet today? But our Death Strike taking out 3/4 of the man's health in 1 salvo from a secondary build Massachusetts. Again, this thing is accurate enough, right? I still would say that you need a little bit more main gun accuracy just to be that extra reliable. But these 45 caliber guns out of the Alabama to Massachusetts, citadels for days. If you go broadside to this thing, they don't overpin like the Iowas. Speaking of which, hello, Susha. Now, we waited specifically for this guy to make his turn because I knew he would try to turn out and try to dodge our teammates, and that would give us the best possible chance. And we absolutely smashed the man, taking a citadel off of him as well. Now, I don't want to chase this guy. We just knocked on his door. We know he's not going to be happy with us, so he's going to start shooting his little HE in our direction. Again, we don't want that. We want to keep our secondaries intact. So we just turn and run. Drop spot and disappear, right? We get to be the obnoxious one. And this is why I don't think that running the chromium barrels or whatever is worth it for battleships, because you can't do this if you're doing that. You'll have 16-kilometer concealment. Having the concealment mod in the 3rd slot is so nice for battleships at high tiers, because being able to just disengage is so underrated. A lot of people just don't understand how good of a skill that is. I know Zarky gets it because he loves his condo builds, but I don't think you need to go full condo, but you do absolutely get a huge benefit from being able to disengage. Now, you'll see that I check my secondary range just to make it sure here, and you'll see I have to close a full extra 1.5 kilometers while I'm being shot at by the Atlantico's secondaries here. But the main thing is the Atlantico knows that he can't stay broadside to me, which means that he's limiting his ability to use the secondaries, which is perfect for me because those secondaries are a problem. And like I said, HE versus our secondaries does not end well. So you'll see that I lock the Atlantico here because I'm expecting the Amagi to come around the corner soon as well. And I want to make sure that the Atlantico is the one that my secondaries are targeting, because he's the biggest threat. I don't care about the Amagi. I want this freaking Atlantico to burn to the ground, because we know that Atlantico with a full secondary build, which most of them run, doesn't have fight fire with fire. So we can burn him down very quickly if we get the chance. Now, Amagi, he comes around the corner full goofball mode, broadside is crap, begging for it. Rear turret of justice goes, doesn't pay off. Front turrets come out, and we slap this man. Again, you're going to be broadside to a Massachusetts or Alabama, you're going to get punished. It does not overpin like Iowas do, right? It's just a slower muzzle velocity. Now, we do get a lot of help from the Flounder here, which is something to be said, right? The Flounder does actually do some things. We're going to talk about the cruiser over there in a moment. But you'll notice that right out the gate, like, our team is cleaning house right now. We're controlling the caps. They're trying to move in. I've got a good look here at the Catalunia's broadside, and again, I mean, broadside to a Sodak. I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it about 100 times in this one. You're gonna get citadel. These things just flat out do not overpin like a lot of battleships do. That slower muzzle velocity means that these 2,700-pound Freedom Seeds hurt a lot. Because remember, this thing fires the exact same projectile as the Iowas. It's just going slower because it's a shorter barrel. right? It's 45 caliber barrel instead of a 50 caliber barrel. So you got a shorter barrel length, so slower muzzle velocity, meaning less overall penetration, meaning less overpins for us battleship captains. Now, again, Amagi broadside for days. The Flaunder absolutely smashes him for it. We're going to try to hit his superstructure, finish him off. Unfortunately, we don't manage to pull it off. Now, again, I want you guys to pay real close attention to the cruiser that's at the back, right? This Amagi is about to die. There's not much he can do about this. Unfortunately, we're not loaded for when this Akatsuki decides to show himself, and we don't have our secondary booster ready to go either, so he's going to get away with being a pain in my backside. But notice I immediately lock it. A lot of people get mad at me for not locking my secondaries on people sometimes, but I only do it when I know I have multiple targets that the secondaries can lock, because that's the only time it actually does anything. If you only have one person that the secondaries can shoot at, you don't need to lock it. Locking doesn't increase your accuracy. It doesn't do anything. All it does is select a target that you want to prioritize for your secondaries if there are multiple people within the ability to be hit by those secondaries. Does that make sense? That's all it does. There's no accuracy bonus for the secondaries or anything like that. I see a lot of people say that, and of course the guy goes dark the moment I get ready to be loaded. But we do get a shot out. Horrendous accuracy, but we do manage to slap him with 3 overpins. Probably hit too far forward there, aimed a little bit too far ahead. But you'll see that we're trying to get him off of here, right? Like, we just want him gone. And the Flaunder, again, Flaunder was fantastic over here. He's constantly in a good position to help. The cruiser, not so much. And we're about to start talking about him, because, honestly, I didn't know what that cruiser was. I just knew there was a Flaunder over here, I'm over here, all that's left is an Akatsuki and a Catalunya. There is nothing to be afraid of under normal circumstances here, right? If we just move in, maybe he torps one of us, but then he just dies, right? Now, I did waste my secondary booster, which was not ideal, because in a moment you'll see that it would have come in real freaking handy. But, I did end up wasting my secondaries, but I forgot the Catalunya had torps. I'll be real honest with you. I forgot it had torps. I knew that the Akatsuki had torps, but I completely forgot that the Catalunya had torps. Now, it's about this point that I'm asking my teammates to come forward. I'm like, hey guys, there's 2 people left. If you guys want to come forward to help me get rid of these little turds, I'd appreciate it. And you'll see, I'm looking for the Catalunya, and of course the Destroyer is the one that gets spotted. And this is where I wish that I had my secondary booster, because watch how every single one of these secondaries miss. He's not doing anything fancy. He's just sitting out there, and he's barely starting to move forward. I know he's torpedoing me, which is why I'm making an exaggerated turn right now. I want to turn towards Catalunya to try to give me a little bit extra room, and then turn back to make myself skinny towards the torpedoes that I know are coming, right? I want to try to eat as few torpedoes as possible. Now, again, the downside is I forgot Catalunya had torps, and we end up eating 2 torpedoes from the Akatsuki, and we torpedoes from... And that's when this is when I noticed that there's a Balti back here this whole time. A Balti against a Catalunya and a freaking Akatsuki. A radar cruiser with some of the best armor piercing in the game, and the easiest goddamn... literally built for situations like this. So I get into the chat and I'm like, dude, where have you been? What have you been doing? Like, the Flaunder's doing his job, I'm doing my job. You are built for this. And, yeah. Needless to say, he wasn't thrilled that I managed to call him out, and he said I need to move out of my mom's basement. Because that's what you do when you know that you screw up, right? Like, I call you out for a real thing, right? In chat, I call you out for being in the perfect ship to counter the threat that's left, and just being completely useless at the time, right? And so all you have to do is call me out for living in my mom's basement, even though I've been in an apartment on my own for a long time now. Fucking 39 years old. You think I still live in my mom's basement? I didn't even have a basement growing up. I was in a trailer in the middle of the swamp, in the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere. And to top it all off, this guy manages to run into a torpedo on top of it just to make sure that we all laugh at him one last time. And again, I'm not trying to name and shame nobody. It's just one of those situations where it is completely preventable if this guy just puts him in himself. Watch this. He radars the Destroyer. Shocker. Hits him one time. Damn near death strikes the guy. This is the power of the Baltimore, and this is why it's so frustrating. Right? Okay? And again, I'm not hating. I'm simply calling out what it is. right? But we did our job. Top of the leaderboard. Massachusetts Dev Strike Confederate High Caliber 2800 base XP, which is impressive considering the fact that we were a secondary build. But again, our secondaries didn't really do a whole lot in that one. It was mostly the main guns. But just showcases that the Massachusetts is still a fun ship. But again, don't go full meme, okay? Just go partial meme. Little bit of extra range on your secondaries so that when you do close the distance, they're a little bit more useful. And then for the rest of it, just use the main guns because they are fantastic. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, I will see you in the next video.